Hi, and welcome to another Watch Geek video. Today, we'll be doing a tutorial for the module 3229 that's in this GXW-5600. Now, just like in all my other tutorial videos, you'll find a table of content in the description with time codes, so you can jump to specific parts of the video or functions of the watch. However, I would advise you to watch the whole video for the first time, just so you get acquainted with all the functions that this watch offers. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to cover is the home screen. In the home screen, this watch is going to show the seconds, the minutes, the hours, the date, the month, the day of the week. Over here, you're going to have a little PS in case the power save mode is turned on, which means that the watch is going to shut down the screen between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. if left in the dark. This RCVD means that the last night's reception was successful, and in a way it's a guarantee that the watch is accurate down to the second, since this is a solar atomic watch, meaning that it's self-charging and self-adjusting, as it connects to one of the 6 towers in the world. Now over here we have the status of the battery. L, M, or H, low, medium, or high, and as we can see, this watch is currently at high. You want to keep the watch at medium or high, and you don't want to allow it to drop to low, because once it drops to L, it's going to shut down certain functions, and it's also going to shorten the lifetime of the battery. Now, to keep it between medium and high, or in high, you just wear the watch regularly. And if you want to store it for longer periods of time, don't store it in complete darkness like a drawer or a box. Just leave it sitting in your living room with the ambient light, and it's gonna be okay. Over here, we have the status for the snooze, alarm, and hourly chime. So whenever one of these is turned on, you're gonna have a little hyphen like this one on the H. But we'll cover that in detail in a couple of minutes. Now, while in the home screen, pressing the mode button is going to cycle you through different modes. Pressing the light button is going to activate the light. Now pressing and holding is going to activate the automatic light, and you're going to have this little AEL symbol right here. The automatic light works, so if you put a watch level and tilt it to your face, the face is going to light up. However, since this is a solar watch, it knows when it's in the dark and when it's not, so it's not going to activate it unnecessarily to save on the battery power. And because of this, once you turn on the auto light, it's going to stay on indefinitely until you turn it off by again pressing and holding this button, like so. Pressing this button is going to get you to the get screen that's going to show you when the last successful sync was. So as you can see, it was 29:12 at 2:02. So it was this morning at 2 a.m. Pressing and holding this button is going to activate the manual time reception. But I'm not going to do it now. I'm going to show it to you when we get to the adjusting of the watch. Now this RCVD is going to stay here for as long as you don't change the time manually or initiate an unsuccessful reception. So if we were to initiate a manual time sync and it failed, this RCVD is going to disappear because the watch can no longer guarantee that it's accurate down to the second. Now pressing the adjust button is going to activate the dual time function of this watch. So it's going to toggle the display of the upper screen between the secondary time zone and the calendar data. Now the time zone displayed here is any one of the 31 time zones or 48 cities that you select in the world time function. So whichever one you selected there, it's going to be displayed here. And like I said, to toggle it, you simply press the adjust button. Now once you receive the watch for the first time, despite it being self-adjusting, you need to set up the time manually for the first time. Why? Because one of the things that you have to set up on the watch is your home screen. And depending on the home screen you select, the world time data is going to be changed accordingly. And not only that, but the watch is going to know to which of the 6 world towers to tune into. So, to manually adjust the time and all the other settings of the watch, while in the home screen, press and hold the adjust button for more than a couple of seconds, like so. And now the watch is going to ask you what your home time is. And while in the adjusting mode, pressing the mode button is going to cycle through different things that you adjust, and by using these two buttons, you move the things up or down, or you toggle things on or off with the lower button. So the Stockholm is selected as our home city. Now to move east, you press the lower button. To move west, you press the upper button. And like I said, it's very important to set up the home city accurately because of the world time function and because of the multi-band 6 function. So let's leave it at Stockholm. Pressing the mode button, the watch asks you about the DST setting. So this is the daylight savings time or summertime. If you leave it at auto, the watch is automatically going to pick up the DST data from the atomic tower. You can naturally toggle it with the lower button to off or to on. In case you live outside of the coverage of the towers, when you switch between summertime and wintertime, you simply toggle it with the lower button. We'll leave it at auto. Pressing the mode button again, the watch asks you whether you want the 12 or 24-hour display, meaning whether you want the AM/PM time or the military time. You again toggle it with the lower button. Pressing the mode button again asks us for the seconds. And now, if you reset the seconds and you do it with the lower button, if you reset it after 30 seconds, between 30 and 59, the seconds are going to jump back to 0, but the minutes are going to move by 1 up. So let's do it. As you can see, the minutes move to 51. If you reset the seconds between 0 and 29, so before 30 seconds, the seconds are going to go to 0, but the time is going to stay unchanged. And as you can see, as soon as we started messing with the time, the RCVD disappeared here because the watch can no longer guarantee that it's accurate down to the second. So tonight, when it successfully connects to the tower in the morning, we're going to have the RCVD displayed here again. Okay, pressing the mode takes us to the hours. Now the hours, minutes, and date can all be changed up and down with these two buttons. So you can go up, you can go down. Pressing the mode button again asks you for the minutes. So again, the same. And you can also speed scroll by pressing and holding the button, like so. Pressing the mode button again, the same goes for the year. Up, down, and speed scrolling. Pressing the mode button again, the watch asks you for the month, and again, you can go up and down, and the same goes for the date. Now the day of the week is not something that you set up because the watch does it automatically. It calculates it automatically until the year 2099. So pressing the mode button again is going to ask us about the key tone. So when you operate the watch, you can hear a beeping sound. If you want to turn that off, you toggle it with the lower button until it says mute here, and you have this little key tone crossed out. So now when you operate the buttons, the watch is not going to make any sound. Since I like to hear it when I press the buttons, I'll leave it at key tone. Pressing the mode button again, the watch asks you whether you want the light to stay on for 3 seconds or 1.5 seconds, and you toggle it with the lower button. So 1 is 1.5 seconds, 3 is 3 seconds. Since I like for the light to stay on as long as possible, I always leave it at 3. And since this is a solar watch, it's not going to drain the battery because it's going to keep recharging. Pressing the mode button again asks us about the power save that I talked about earlier. So if it's at on, the screen is going to turn off between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. if the watch is left in the dark. If you turn it off, it's not going to do anything. It's going to stay on for the whole night. Okay, let's turn it on. Now pressing the mode button again cycles you back to the selection of the home city. So in case you missed something or you want to change some settings, you simply cycle with the mode button over and over until you get to the desired setting. Once you've set up everything and you want to exit the adjusting screen, you simply press the adjust button. And that's it. You've just set up the watch. Again, pressing this is going to cycle between the calendar data and the dual time data. Now, from now on, the watch is going to connect to the tower. At least it's going to try to connect 5 to 6 times a night. Once it gets a first successful connection, it's going to cancel all the following connections, and in the morning you're going to have the RCVD displayed here. Now, like I said, you can initiate a manual reception by pressing and holding this button for more than 3 seconds. So let's do it now. Press and hold, and there. Now the watch is trying to connect to the tower. Once it catches the signal, it's going to display the level of the signal between L1, L2, and L3. The higher, the better. Now, since it's daylight, I doubt that I'm going to be able to have a successful sync since I'm at the border of the reception. So, to cancel the the reception, and it can take up to 10 minutes, you simply press this button again. And that's it. That's it when it comes to the home screen. So let's move on. The next function is the world time function. Now in the world time function, you can move eastwards and west you cannot go, because once you press this, the watch is gonna activate the light. However, there is a shortcut in case you miss your time zone. You don't have to go all the way around. You can simply press these two buttons simultaneously, and the watch is gonna jump back to the UTC or Greenwich Mean Time. And now from there, you can again go east. Now whichever time zone you select here, like I said, it's going to be displayed as the secondary time zone in the home screen. Also, for each one of these time zones except UTC, you can turn on or off the DST by pressing and holding the adjust button. So let's press and hold, and the watch just activated daylight savings time for this time zone and changed the time accordingly. To turn off the DST for that time zone, again you press and hold, and there. And that's pretty much it when it comes to the world time. Okay, so moving on. The next function is the alarm. Now this watch has 5 alarms, with one being snooze, meaning that it's going to repeat itself after 5 minutes until you actually come into the alarm and turn it off manually. Now to cycle between the alarms, you use the lower button. So as you can see, we're at alarm 1, alarm 2, alarm 3, alarm 4, snooze alarm, and also the hourly chime, which is the beeping sound that the watch makes every full hour. Now to turn any one of these on or off, you select the one that you want, in this case the hourly chime, and press the adjust button. So now, as you can see, it says on, and we've turned on the hourly chime or the SIG. And this little hyphen is going to indicate that. Now moving on, let's go, let's say to the alarm 1. If we turn that on, it's going to have the ALM turned on, and it's going to say alarm 1 is turned on at midnight. Now, as long as you have any of the alarms turned on, you're going to have this ALM displayed here. Now let's turn it off and go to the snooze alarm. If we turn on the snooze alarm, we're going to have both the SNZ and the ALM turned on, because it's an alarm and it's a snooze alarm. So we know which alarm is turned on. Now, even if you have the alarms turned off, as soon as you start adjusting them to the desired time, they're going to turn on automatically. So press and hold the adjust button, and the watch is going to ask you the hours and the minutes of when you want the alarm to go off. And as you can see, the alarm automatically turned on. Now to adjust the hours, you use these two buttons, just like when we were setting up the time. So you can go up, you can go down, and to adjust the minutes, you press the mode button, and now you can set up the minutes, like so. When you've finished the setting up, you simply press the adjust button. And now this alarm is going to go off at 1:05 a.m. To turn it off, you simply press the adjust button again. And as you can see, the watch keeps displaying your home time in this little window. Okay, moving on. Next function is the stopwatch. And this watch has a regular 24-hour stopwatch that can measure down to 1/100th of a second with the first and second place, and a split function. So to start the stopwatch, you press the lower button. To stop it, you press it again, and to reset, you press the adjust button. That's it. Now to measure the split times, you press the lower button, and when you want to freeze the screen, you press the adjust. The screen freezes, but the stopwatch keeps running in the background. Once you've written down the time that you want, pressing the adjust is going to unfreeze the screen. And the watch can also do the first and second place. So let's say you have 2 runners. When the first one goes through the finish line, you press the adjust button. When the second one goes through the finish line, you press the lower button. Now once you've written down the time of the first runner, you press the adjust button. It's going to display the time of the second runner, and now pressing it again resets the stopwatch. That's pretty much it. Okay, moving on. The last function is the countdown timer. Now this watch has a countdown timer that a 24-hour countdown timer settable down to the minute. So if we started like this at 0 and you started with the lower button, it's going to start from 23:59:59, and once it reaches 0, it's going to beep. To stop it, you press the lower button, and to reset it back to the desired adjusted time, you press the adjust button. Now, you can naturally set it up, like I said, down to a minute and up to 24-hour in 1 minute increments. To do so, you press and hold the adjust button, and now the watch asks you what hour you want to set the alarm for. So how many hours? So let's say 2 hours, and pressing the mode button asks you about the minutes. So again, you can go up and you can go down. So let's leave it like this. To exit the adjusting, you simply press the adjust button. And now this timer is set up for 2 hours and 58 minutes. If we start it, it's going to start counting down from there, and once it reaches 0, it's going to start beeping. Now please note that on this screen here, you can see what the timer was originally set for. Okay, again, to stop it, you press this button, and once you press the adjust button, it jumps back to the adjusted time in memory. Well, that's pretty much it. Pressing the mode button again takes us back to the home screen. And this pretty much completes the whole tutorial for this GXW-5600 and the module 3229. I hope you enjoyed and found it useful. If you did, please like and subscribe by pressing this button right here. And until the next video, bye.